Video is going to be about Tegu food today. It's going to be about everything you can feed a young Tegu all the way up to an old Tegu. But I got this big package in from Rodent Pro. I've ordered from them before. I bought large rats. I bought some medium rats, if I'm not mistaken, for my snake because he's not a large boa. And then I got some maybe 2-week-old chickens, and so I got a lot of food in here. So this is going to be video for your larger 1-year plus Tegus, but I'm going to go over everything because there seems to be a lot of people that are purchasing Tegus, like on Facebook, and they don't have a clue, which, you got to know what, you can feed your Tegu. I guess some of these people are taking in Tegus, which is a good thing, that have been abused or you can't be taken care of, and so they just kind of got thrown into this, so there is sympathy there, excuse me. So I'm going to go over everything today, what I have fed my Tegus personally. I have 2 Tegus, a male and a female, and I got them as 3-week-old babies, both of them, and now they're, one's almost 4 foot long and one's 3 foot long. Female's smaller. But I'm going to go over everything again that you can feed, and I have fed personally, and I've had great success. So feeding young Tegus all the way up to adolescent Tegus, all the way up to, close to 2 years now for larger Tegus and beyond. Okay, so here we go. See what we got. Just comes in a package like this. It's rush delivery, and it used to be that you didn't have to pay tax and quite as much shipping. If you order something, you could get it, a certain quantity, you could get free shipping. But now you gotta pay tax, you gotta pay shipping. So this was like $230 worth of food. But if you're gonna take on a Tegu, or 2 Tegus, or 3 Tegus, you've got to feed them responsibly. And I am 100% a believer that the professional people, the people that are zoologists, herpetologists, these animals need to have whole food prey items. It's just something you've got to do, and they get a lot of their minerals and their essentials from hair, teeth, nails, skin, fur, organs, everything. They've got to have it. If you just feed your Tegus a chicken, a chicken drum or something, they're not getting the essential items, all the essential items they need in the vitamins. Also, too, you got to give them the UVB sun, ultimately the real sun, but then you can, if you can't get them out in the sun, then you've got to get UVB lights, and they're expensive, $70 to $100 per light, and then bulbs every 6 to 8 months, replacements at about $30 or $40 a bulb. So, but let's rip this open. Now be careful, because you can rip yourself open with these staples. They pack it with insulation because it's got to be kept frozen. And I've saved this insulation before. And you could use this insulation for something where you need insulation. It's fiberglass. And this gets expensive to ship. So I'm going to put this box on the ground and show you what all I got. For $230 or $240, I got, I don't know if this is 10 or 20 large rats. Gosh, these are big. But when they thaw out, they get a little more flexible. But these are 10 frozen rats. Also, too, you want to do rats mainly. If your Tegus are small, then you can feed them mice. But I've heard again from herpetologists and professionals, not just people on Facebook or YouTube, that rats have less fat, and they'll contribute to your being Tegu if you're feeding them properly, less fat. Like if you're a human and you're eating fatty foods, then you're going to probably be more likely out of shape and fat. So rats are the preferred, and you can get baby rats, you can get pinky rats, you can get large rats, you can get extra large rats. Gosh, these are big. These are large rats. For Mac, Sassy cannot eat one of these. But let me show you. And then I got some more medium mice, 50 count, for the boa, and you know, maybe some for Sassy because her mouth is a little bit smaller. She's the female. So got those, and then I got a bunch of chicks with a lot of feathers, mixed chicks. So I got like 10 bags of those, of 5 per bag. So Mac will eat these, and yeah, I mean, they're large too. So I mean, Sassy's not too far away from eating those items like that. But yeah, we got just a whole bunch of chickens. So I'm gonna put these in the freezer, 5 per bag, and then we're gonna feed my Tegus because they're hungry. The Tegus are gonna love this whole prey item. You can sometimes get chickens a little cheaper. I think it's like $19 per 5 per bag, or you can get just day-old chicks, and you can get them, you know, more of them, but they're smaller. So you're just gonna have to gauge and look at videos or you know, appropriately on what size. I mean, you can obviously thaw these out and you can cut them in half and feed them to your reptile if it's too large and you order too big. But ultimately, you just kind of don't want to do that because it gets a little bit messy. But yeah, so we're just going to go, again, put those in the refrigerator and move on and have the reptiles out and then feed those. Okay, here's an update on Sassy. Sassy just kind of got woken up. They sleep into the afternoon, and my lighting in here is just kind of dim, just the way it is. But here's Sassy. You can see her. She is a year and a couple of months old. She doesn't necessarily like to be held. She hasn't changed in that perspective. But again, she's a very good lizard because if you have an animal that doesn't want to be held or picked up, then they can get aggressive with you, and they can turn around and bite you because they don't want to be held. Let me make sure. So it's a blessing that she doesn't like to be held, but she's not mad about it, and she's not going to bite me. I mean, I'm not going to say never, because you know, never is a strong word, but I have a pretty high degree of a belief that she's not going to just turn around and latch onto me. But let me feed Sassy for you. There's so much to talk about. I mean, I could just make a video 2 hours long easily. But let me get Sassy a mouse, and I kind of overwarmed this and de-thawed it, so it's she needs to eat it now because it's a little ripe. But let me get that here. She is crazy when it comes to food. So let me just put this right here. Sassy could probably eat something a little bit bigger. Now that I see her, she could eat something, you know, quite a bit bigger. But these are some of the, I don't know, medium-sized mice that I got from Rodent Pro. And I'll just express that I think, you know, it's good to maybe feed her 2 of these mice if she was really hungry. She's kind of full. Anyway, she just is kind of a round girl. And so I just think that 1 now is good, but if I felt like she needed more food for the next couple of days, then I would feed her 2 of the smaller or the medium-sized mice instead of rather than giving her oversized rodent where she kind of struggles to get it down. I just want to reiterate that I think it's, instead of giving them something where they're struggling to eating and it's hard for them to get, and it takes, you know, 10 minutes for them to, you know, work it down, I just think it's better to give them 2 of that item that's smaller. And I used to think that it's fun giving them something big and watching them struggle to eat it, but now as I'm an adult and I'm raising these 2 healthy Tegus, I think it's better to give them smaller food that they're going to put in their mouths and they can eat it easier. So that Sassy could obviously eat Sassy could probably eat an extra large mouse or a small rat, but that's the Sassy eating. She's such a good lizard, and very, very healthy. And you can tell the health of your Tegus real quickly. Just something that jumps to my mind is the health of their rear tail right here in this portion. The fatness and the roundness and the plumpness of their tail is a good indication of your Tegu's health. This is where they store their fat, and this is very important. If you have a skinny or it's emaciated looking, or it's sunken in areas, that is not a good sign. She's smelling the lid right there that has the mouse on it. She can eat so much. This little girl wants to eat every day for hours on end. She would eat, and she would become so overweight. And just while I have her here, you want to see these wrinkles on the side of their stomachs. These wrinkles right here that, I don't know if you can see me grabbing onto them, but that's healthy. You don't want a fat Tegu or a too plump Tegu. If you feed them something large and those wrinkles go away, that's not the end of the world. But you want to have the wrinkles appear back. In the next day, you want to see those wrinkles. And if your Tegu is so plump that it's tight on the sides of their bodies, and that is not a good sign, and that's a sign that your Tegu is overweight. And an overweight Tegu will not live as long. A savanna monitor, a lot of the monitors won't live as long if they are overweight and they're unhealthy, because that contributes to them being unhealthy. But Sassy has I think, a good weight. She's very robust and hard, and now she's waking up, so she's very, very healthy and very well conditioned and very muscular. But that's Sassy. I'm gonna put Sassy back in her cage, and we're gonna bring out Mac next. Okay, so here's Mac. And Mac, this is how I had him on my arm the other day. Mac is very, very sweet. Mac is about a year and maybe 5 or 6 months old. Maybe I just can't remember exactly how old he is. I got the paperwork to remind me when I look at it. But this is how I kind of had Mac resting on my arm a couple of weeks ago, or 2 or 3 weeks ago. And he just either was sexually agitated or just wanted to know what it would be like to taste my arm, but he latched onto my arm like in this position. He just was looking at my arm, turned his head. I saw it happening, and I just didn't think much about it, and he just turned it and latched onto my arm. And then when I tried to pull him off, he latched on even harder. So other than that, Mac's been just a fantastic Tegu and a great lizard. But they just have their moments. They are wild animals. So you just, in this position now, I'm leery of having him like that unless I'm watching him where I can quickly jerk him off. If he just decides he's sleepy too, so he's closing his eyes. But they don't wake up till like 1 p.m. And I just don't keep their cages super, super warm because keeping all these light bulbs on is very expensive. But Mac will lick my skin. I think he's getting the salt off my skin. But let me feed Mac now. I got large rats. They're the large, and they're large. And so Mac's going to eat a large rodent. And until I get the rodent, the rat, and put him right here, and I see it next to Mac's head, this is going to be a little bit more of a full meal for Mac to eat. Mac is about 38 inches long. And he needs larger meals now. When he eats like a large mouse or a small mouse, it just doesn't impact his belly area, and so he needs more of a solid meal, a whole prey item, which I've talked about. So let me get Mac his food. He smells the mouse that I had up here, or the rat, the smaller rat for Sassy. So he's going into food mode right now. So let me get this large rat, and we're going to watch Mac eat the rat. So he'll stay here and hang out. All right, so here's the rat. That's a lot bigger than the previous things. Now you can see Mac looking up at the rat. But Mac is, we're going to let Mac eat this rat. Mac's a little more mouthy and eats and kind of spits it out and likes to put his mouth on it. Just eat it right there, Bubba. He's not as fast as Sassy is to eat. I mean, it looks like he'll be able. This is a big rat, so but it looks like Mac will. Mac, just eat it. Will be able to eat this pretty well. Maybe he wants to get down on the ground. Mac, just eat it. Mac's never in as big a hurry to eat as Sassy is. Sassy's very competitive when it comes to beating Mac to the food, and I've had to not feed them together because Sassy gets very, very aggressive and tries to steal the food out of Mac's mouth. And I just don't want to have either one of the Tegus latching on and hurting the other. Come on, Mac, eat your food. There we go. This will be a good meal for Mac. That's a big meal. Okay, well, while I'll feed Mac probably a rat like this once a week, maybe, just depending on what he looks like. Maybe feed a rat maybe once every 2 weeks. You don't want to overdo the whole prey items. I mean, a rat like this will last him, I would say safely, 4 or 5 days. I probably won't feed him again. I have a bad habit of letting him. It's not necessarily a bad habit; just it depends on your reptile. But I will feed Mac daily, little bits of, because I like to have fruit, and fruit doesn't last long. So I will bananas and strawberries, if I'm eating strawberries, and grapes. They love grapes. Both my Tegus love grapes. And I'll usually just slice them in the center to make them a little soft, or I'll put them in my mouth and bite down on it and make it a little mushy so it's not so large, because you can get some large grapes. Bananas, grapes, strawberries, all kinds of fruit. And then if I'm eating some fish, I go to the store and salmon or some catfish, or some of the other store-bought fish, I just lightly cook them, just lightly, and I'll feed Mac and Sassy the appropriate bites of the fish. When they're little, I just want to explain, that insects are a large part of your Tegu's diet when they're, 7 or 8 inches long to 1.5 feet long. The giant worms, not the mealworms, but the bigger worms. I can't remember what it's called, but the larger mealworms, the giant worms, those are very easy to get, 25 or 50 count for like $3 or $4. Prices vary, and they've gone up quite a bit just in the last 2 years, a year and a half. So those giant mealworms and crickets, I used to be able to buy 50 of them for like $4. and have a bunch of crickets, and they would chase the crickets around their cage when they were little. So insects are a big deal, and you can go ahead and dust your crickets and things, but most of the time the tegus get most of their vitamins from the sun, the actual sun, through their skin. They have to absorb the UVB in their skin. The calcium and the substitutes and the vitamins don't necessarily get processed as efficiently as the sun hitting their skin or your light bulb hitting UVB light hood that's shining light on them, so they're not absorbing as proficiently the UVB. That's the best way for them to get the UVB. So just keep that in mind. The vitamins and all these things that you're putting on your reptile's food, a lot of it will go out in their urine and their poop will go out, and it doesn't get processed. So it's kind of a hit or miss with that, but I guess, in the long run, some of that's better than nothing at all. But you also don't want to overdose your reptiles on vitamins and the supplements, the calcium and the D3. You don't want to overdo that because you can make them sick or cause harm that way. But you can see now that Mac's I can feel he's got a lot more mass right here in this section, and that filled him up a lot better than, like, say, a medium-sized mouse or a medium. I didn't get extra large mice, but you can tell that's a much better meal for him. You can see Mac has a very large tail, very plump, very fat. That's where they store some of their fat that they use for expending energy. Mac's got pretty good muscle muscle build in his legs, and I would consider Mac as a pretty healthy Tegu. He's not super warm right now because they tend to prefer, my Tegus prefer it in the lower 80s and the higher 70 degrees when they're relaxing and they're chilling out. Mac doesn't like to get in 110, 120 degree heat, at least not for very long. I think, if you're keeping your Tegus in 115 to 130 degrees, you're not providing them with a mid 70 degree major cool spot. I mean, you gotta have a large cage to get that separation in temperature. That you're stressing your Tegus out, and you could be cooking your animals, man. They tend to seek out a little bit cooler environment rather than the warmer environment. These are not a desert animal or reptile, but that's just what I would say and what I've learned from owning these. But getting back more, you can incorporate your collard greens. That mine just never liked that. They never wanted to eat that. I've never done that. So you've just got to mince that up, make it smaller and not so apparent, and you can mix that in with your fruits and then your chicken livers, your chicken hearts, your chicken gizzards are really, really good for more of a every other day feeding for large Tegus and small Tegus. You just got to cut the pieces up appropriate for the size of your Tegu's head. You just don't want to give them something that's too large for them to eat. And again, they kind of struggle to get down. So also too, you can feed them quail eggs, and you can feed them chicken eggs, human grade eggs. But what I've read is you want to cook those a little bit. You want to soft boil them. I mean, they could be a little runny, but you want to cook them for maybe 2 or 3 minutes, boil them, and that gets rid of some of the enzymes that can cause shedding issues and later health issues. I think it's just a good idea to maybe cook a lot of things. There's some fish that is not good for Tegus, but if you cook them a little bit, then you can cook some of those enzymes out that'll be more healthy for your Tegu. I think the key here is just you don't want to focus on staying on too much of the same food for an extended period of time. I feed my Tegus, and you can see that how healthy they are, that I feed them a wide variety, just depending on what I'm eating. and I really mix it up. I mean, he may not have salmon for a month. I just don't overdo it. And another thing that you can feed your young tegus and large tegus is you can feed them the wet dog food in the cans. If you buy Sassy when she was little, being a red tegu female, she loved cat food. And you don't want to buy the cheapest dollar store cat food and dog food, but you don't, a $3 can of Hill's Science Diet, or there's some recommended dog food. I wouldn't buy a 50-cent can of dog food and feed that, and you could just give them the chunks. Or you can get the ground portion of it and you could put it in a ball, put it in your hand and put it in a ball, and they love cat food and dog food. The wet version, don't give them the grain. That's got chicken parts in it and probably cow parts, and that's what they need, is mixed internal organs and different parts of animals that gives them more nutrients. So the canned Hill's food that I just got from my dog, I have a dog, and so he always has wet dog food. So every couple of days or a week, you can mix in some cat food and some dog food and some fruit and some insects. Mac doesn't have an easy time eating little mealworms or the giant worms, or you can get hornworms, but those are kind of expensive. Those are like $8 or $9, and it's just be a lot of money to buy a few of those. Those are just kind of a snack here and there. Just vary your diet. Don't just stick with crickets for the whole internal life of your reptile, of your tegu. You really got to divide up your food into different categories, because there's some things that are harmful to them, even though they're vegetables and they're fruits and certain meats. You can give them, a part of your burger, your cooked burger. I've done that. Just don't do it every day or, 3 times a week. I've even, had some candied popcorn. And I would not do this regularly at all, but maybe just, maybe once every couple of months, I gave him, put that on the ground, he ran up to it and ate it. And when an animal likes something like that, because they make a big deal about it, and they smack it and they look around, and then after they eat it, their tongue comes out and wipes around the side of their mouths. It's like, that was so good. I don't think, that, once every couple of weeks, one piece of that's going to hurt your tegu. But I don't feed my tegu that kind of stuff often. But you want a variety of diet, and again, you can see that Mac doesn't have the wrinkles on his side of his belly, but quickly tomorrow or the next day he will get those wrinkles back, and that's what you want to see. A thinner tegu is better than a fat tegu, because when they're in the wild, they could go days, and depending on where they are, they could go a week without eating. And so they're exercising a ton more when they're in the wild. That's what they do. They're looking for their food and water. They don't drink as much water as they eat, but they are that's their mission, and that's what burns their fat. And they're climbing and they're digging. And so tegus that just stay in even a 8x5 foot cage, which I've commented, I think that's too small. That's a good storage place, or a place you put them at night, or if you're going away to work for 4 hours, and they need a pen, like a baby in a little pen, that you can put them in there. But they really need like a 10 foot by 10 foot area. Even the guy this size needs a 10 foot by 10 foot enclosure or a room to run around for maybe noon to 5, because that's where they, just like a person, if you sit on the couch or you sit on your bed and you watch TV and all, you have your food on your bed and your TV, you get to that phase, like being a tegu or another lizard or a snake in a cage with nowhere to go, then what's the point of getting up? And you just eat and you become more unhealthy as you sit and you don't exercise, and it's just a spiraling effect. what does a tegu or any other lizard have to look forward to if they're stuck in a cage around the clock and their food's just handed to them? So they get fat and they lose muscle mass, and they, some people would say, oh, well, my tegu is so sweet and so tame. And it's because maybe they've given up on life. Food's handed to them. There's nothing exciting for them to do. There's nowhere for them, if they wake up the next day and like, man, I get to run around this room today. Or I'm stuck in this little cage and I get to look out a glass and have a light cooking on me. So maybe that's why your tegu is so tame, is your tegu's lost the will for life and to exist. So I think it's just really key to feed them correctly and give them plenty of exercise. Mac doesn't go outside because I have a fear of him running away. But if you have a tegu and you have the correct outside space and you've got a nice big solid fence and they can't get under your fence and they can't climb over your fence easily, then put your tegu in your yard and monitor them, while they're out there, and let them walk around in the pure sun, and that's probably the best of them being outside. But I don't have that opportunity, and it's 103 plus 105 here, and that's too hot for Mac or Sassy, and I just have a fear of losing them because I've almost lost them being outside. Just to show you, Clorox bleach. I don't feed them on my table, but I'm trying to get into a little bit different environment with some better light. This is Clorox bleach, and I'm just going to clean up the area. Other than that, that's it. If you want to, you can continue watching, and here I have taken things from the internet, that valuable websites that I found on what you can feed your tegu and how often and what age, and fruits and meats and all kinds of very informative information that you may be interested in seeing here. So just watch and stop the video if you need to see something particular, but pay special attention because there's lots of good information here. So here we have, you can feed an approximate schedule based on a hatchling, a juvenile, subadult, or adult, and then talks about portion sizing of what individual pieces. You don't want to feed big pieces bigger than the skull of your tegu. So read this information here. And next we will have the types of insects that are recommended for tegus and general lizards that you can feed to your tegus. These will pretty much be all store-bought, and these are again recommended for your pet if you are having you want to make a good choice. And then next we have a meat section, and it'll tell you recommended meats for your tegu or a monitored lizard. So rats, a hamster, gerbils. Gerbils get pretty expensive, and rabbits get pretty expensive. But you got crayfish, fish, eggs, and there is a warning with the eggs that I will show here shortly about cooking raw eggs contain enzymes, and you want to cook them a little bit and remove some of those enzymes, and plus a little note about fish that you might find interesting or important to know. And then next we've got the vegetables, the recommended vegetables for your tegus and lizards that eat things like this to eat. And then we've got a warning here, do not feed your tegu these things because it can make your tegu sick or even die. And then lastly, we've got fruits, some approved fruits to feed to your tegu. And then at the bottom, you see a do not feed, citrus, seeds, pits, and things like that, as it can make your tegu sick or die. And then lastly, there is the thing that I talked about, the cat and the dog food, which can be, on a general basis, just feed it every once in a while, or it can be a supplemental piece of food for your tegus, but they will enjoy the tegu, the meat portion of, that type of food. Okay, well then that's it. So appreciate you watching. Hopefully this was informative. Like and check back for more content. Okay, bye-bye.